Namaskar. This evening, we welcome you to this sixth Kumar Gandhar annual memorial lecture. We had to miss one last year because of the circumstances. However, we are glad that we are resuming it. The Raza Foundation organizes, in collaboration with the India Habitat Center, as many as 8 annual memorial lectures named after Habib Tanveer, Charles Correa, Daya Krishna, Agge, V.S. Gaitonde, Mani Kaul, Ketucharan Mahapatra, and of course Kumar Gandhar. This is the sixth lecture in the series. Earlier speakers have been Dr. Mukund Lat, T.M. Krishna, Vijay Kichlu, Deepak Raja, and Sumangala Damodara. And today we have our old friend Neela Bhagwat. Neela ji has been trained in two gharanas, Jaipur by G.T. Tilak and Gwalior by Pandit Sharatchand Arolkar, whose biography also she has written in Marathi. She had learned Kathak from Guru Lakshmi Maharaj and had played the main role in Suno Janme Jai, directed by Pandit Satyadev Dubey. She has, many years ago, she wrote for us a monograph on Pandit Krishnarao Shankar Pandit, a Doyen of Gautal Gharana. Has written a book on Kabir, Gata Gata, and a biography of Guru Arolkar. He received the fellowship from the Government of India, awards from SNDT, and then she has done concert tours in Europe, Indian countries, etc. She has also done singing for Khayal Gatha, directed by Kumar Shahani, of which Madhya Pradesh Film Vikas Nigam was the producer. And then last by Anup Singh, In the Name of God by Anand Patwardhan, and Wild Blue, directed by Thierry Knopf of Belgium. She would be talking about aesthetics of the Gwalior Gharana. And in between, she would also be demonstrating by singing, and she would be accompanied by the invisible to us, Sandeep Pawar, who is the disciple of Arvind Mulgaonkar. So there you are, Neela Bhagwat, talking about the aesthetics of Gwalior Gharana.
Thank you so much, Ashokji and the foundation, Raza Foundation, Kumar Gandhar Foundation, and the Habitat Center. I'm really honored to be able to talk about the aesthetics of the Khayal Gaiki that I have learned from my Guru Arolkarji. The first thing that my Guruji told me, and I think all the students, is that ख्याल गाते हुए जो अस्थाई जिसे कहते हैं, जो स्थाई का अस्थाई बोला जाता है, तो अस्थाई की शक्ल देखो और उसकी बढ़ंत करो. It means that the design of the khayal is important. According to the design, we develop the rag on the canvas of the tal. The other instruction that is given to us is अस्थाई की नायिका को देखो और उसको पेश करो. ना नायिका को देखो, इसका मतलब यही हो जाता है कि her personality is important, what she experiences and feels emotionally, and her ideas about her own experience, they are all important. Now let's see the two things that these instructions suggest. One is the design of the khayal. Well, I feel like calling it the musical painting, musical designing in space, the melodic and rhythmic space. Then it is also a narrative. In the narrative, the characters are important, their life experience is important, and what they feel is to be explored and interpreted by the singer. So that means here is the role of a singer who deals with the narrative and explores all the possibilities in that particular piece of khayal, which also takes the khayal close to any narrative like cinema, novel, play, or even painting, I would say, in that, because it is a statement by the artist. When I came to know of these two principles of aesthetics in Khayal Gayatri, and I tried to understand and uh, try to master, I can't say master, but try to learn it and try to render it in my own way. I found it is amazing and inspiring to sing in these two contexts. Mainly because it is not just seeing the rag, not just concentrating on the tans, the fast tans, but it is the design in space that is very important. And it is also the narrative in the bandish, in the composition, that is important. Now, here I would like to sing two compositions in Rag Yaman Kalyan, in which the design of the first one is different, so the rag is developed differently. The design of the second one is different, so it demands a different treatment. This bandish in Yaman Kalyan, set in Ektal, is a very famous bandish, and every gharana perhaps sings this bandish. But Gwalior has its own way of presenting it. कह सखी कैसे करिए भरिए जिन ऐसे लालन के संग सुनरी सखी मैं का कहूँ तो से उन्हीं के जानत ढंग. Now here I am not going to pay attention to the Naika and her statement and her relationship with her friend, but I want to see the design. Sandeep? कह सखी कैसे भरिए चैनो ऐसे लालन के सखी कैसे री. Now it's very clear that the bandish begins with a kind of andolan on the nishad in the lower part of the octave. So now I can't go up. Initially I can dwell on the lower part of the rag and I can go accordingly. Well, कैसा के कैसे कैसा के कैसे जिन ऐसे लाल के संग कैसा के कैसे जिन ऐसे लालन के संग कैसा के कैसे I'm going to stop here. I'm not singing the antara, not because it's a practice to sing the antara as well, but there is so much to present that I decided that I will sing only the sthai. Now, this begins in the lower part of the octave. Now, here is another bandish which is a wedding song, Banare Balaiya. Now, how does it go? Let me show it to you. सुहाग की रात नवेला वर पाया आपन रे बलैया लेऊ आजा सुहाग की रात नवेला वर पाया बना रे बलैया. I can go to the middle sa and then ni, and that is not possible rendering this bandish because it begins with pa. The starting point is different, and the design therefore is more from the pancha and the upper part. Balaya रात नवेला बर पाया बन गैया. So it begins like this, and then it goes ahead. And the antara also is in the upper part, but the sthai also is in the upper part of the octave. So one need not go in the lower octave for it unless it is necessary to make a design of it. No, what will be the design? Balaya. This is the design. I'm dwelling on the middle octave, but I take into account the lower knee also, and then go ahead and then go to the upper part. Balaya. This is all that I can handle the lower octave. I have to take the beginning, the entire design into account. And I can't forget the Naika, the event of marriage. That's another story. Let's come to that a bit later. But as you can see that the design is determined by the beginning of the sthai. And then the antara usually deals with the upper part of the octave. And as you begin, wherever the sthai leads you to, then you go ahead accordingly. Now let us come to the second principle, which is the narrative, the naika of the composition. I'm going to present two naikas. The first naika I'm presenting is in Rag Bhim Palas. Now, Bhim Palas is a very peaceful rag, very sympathetic rag, and still this bandish is not at all very peaceful. In fact, the naika of the bandish is very angry, and she only can have her own friend to rely upon, and then she deals with her emotion. The emotion is लोग चवाव करत कित जाऊं सखी प्यारे की प्रीत खरी नहीं नाही. People criticize me and say that, well, this man in my life doesn't really love me. Now, how does she say it? Let's see. This is Bhim Palas. Very peaceful rag, but how does she say it? Let's see. भोग जब करत कित जाऊं सखी प्यारे की प्रीत खरी नहीं ना आही भोग चावा करता कित सखी प्यारे की प्रीत खरी नहीं भोग चवा करता कित जाऊं सखी लोग चवा. Unfortunately, I have to stop the Naika from dealing with her emotions a bit more. But you can imagine, it's a dialogue between two friends. And she is saying that how she is frustrated in love, and then she is being criticized that, oh, you haven't got a man to love you. This is reality for her, and she deals with that. Now, the Naika is most of the time completely devoted to the lover. Here is another bandish I'm singing in Rag Kamod, which is in Teen Tal. This was Tilwada, a Bada Khyal. Now I'm dealing with a Chota Khyal, but not a Jalak Chota Khyal, but a Madhyalay Chota Khyal, a middle pace composition. It says that जाने ना देऊंगी रे माई अपने बालम को, नैनन में कर राखा पलखन मूंद मूंद करी. I'm not going to open my eyes, he will leave me otherwise. What a beautiful romance she speaks about. Now I have to think of that romantic love and try to sing the bandish like that. जाने ना देऊंगी जाने ना देऊंगी री माई जाने न देऊंगी प्रेमा की अपने बालम को नैनमी कर राखों पलखन मूंद मूंद करी जाने न दूंगी जाने न दूंगी जाने न दूंगी अपने बालम को जाने न दूंगी जाने न दूंगी अपने बालम को नैनमी कर राखों पलखन मूंद मूंद करिए जाने न दूंगी जाने न दूंगी जाने न दूंगी. This will go on. The Balam will go anyway if he wants to, but she will not say that. She will say, I will not let you go. That is the content of the bandish. I'm saying content because form, content, technique, grammar, all these terms are used in literature. But even in music, I'm sure the old Haddu Khan, Hasu Khan and Nisar Hussain Khan Sahib and then Shankar Pandit and Krishna Rao Shankar Pandit and all these great masters, they must have that in their mind when Panditji, Krishna Rao Panditji especially when he sang Log Chawao, I'm sure he interpreted it as the criticism leveled against him. So there is a possibility of interpretation, and that is the very strong point of the khayal, the aesthetics. In the aesthetics of khayal, it's not just a traditional form. There is tradition because it's a very rich language. Why it is rich? Because there are the Ashtanga ways of voice culture which the Khayal has taken from Drupad and Veena and Sitar. No art is really a singular art. It's a combination of several influences. And I often feel that these Drupad singers also were, I'm sure they must have seen Taj Mahal and they must have seen the fantastic architecture and they were inspired by that to develop it this way. And Khayal perhaps was more concentrating on the narrative side of it. I would like to give you a small story of Ustad Bande Ali Khan Sahib and his beloved Chunna. Now, Khan Sahib used to drink and used to go away somewhere. She knew where he would go. Now, one day he didn't come at a time when he should have come. But then she went there. He was there as she expected. As he saw her, he got up and sat near the wall, facing the wall and doing his back towards Chunna. Now, I don't know if this was a spontaneous creation, but it relates to the relationship between the two. Therefore, I want to sing this. Hmm. दादा रूठा हुआ वो प्यारा रूठा हुआ वो प्यारा प्यारा रूठा हुआ वो प्यारा अगर अपने से मन जावे अगर अपने से मन जावे रूठा हुआ वो प्यारा बिगड़ी हुई वो बात बिगड़ी हुई वो बात अगर अपने से बन जावे अगर अपने से बन जावे रूठा हुआ वो प्यारा रूठा हुआ वो प्यारा. I'm going to stop here. Each of these bandishes, they will take say 45 minutes or so, but we have to deal with many issues. Now I feel that Khayal Gaiki in its aesthetics is a fantastic perspective on life. There are rules of the rag, rules of the tal, rules of how to render the bowl. You can't say rootha hua, you can't say that. You have to say rootha. That means you elongate the vowel. Vowel is oo. So rootha hua. All this is elongation of vowel. Khayal Gaiki gives stress the importance on the bol ala. And what is bol alap? Bol alap is made of the alap within the bowl by elongation of the vowel. Now I sang the Jane na deuni. Now Jane, if I say Jane na, that's not music. Jane na, there is the bol alap. From ja a I derive, and then ne na ekar is. So there are all the vowels, especially a, o, then u also at times, a, e, o, u, au. When comes, how do you do that? Is closing the lips. So you can't say You have to make it So mother. So if it is mother, you can't say mother. No, that's not the name. Mother sha. So it becomes au, aum, and that is the elongation of Music really deals with the elongated emotional flow also by elongating the vowel. It's the vowel and the consonant that have to be together in a more meaningful way, and that is the rule of a bandish, a singing of the bandish. So therefore, you have the rules of the rag, rules of the tal, rules of the bolala, and then make all these rules, master them such that you feel liberated. When you sing, if I'm singing, I'm telling Sandeep, Sandeep, play Dadra. Rootha, rootha. I have to be aware of the first beat and then continue. So this is what the mastery of the tal, the lay, and the bolala, and the rag, of course, the rules of the rag. The rag tells you to stop at certain notes and not every note. Now, if I'm singing Bhimpalas, for example, sa, ga, ma, if I stop on ma, it doesn't really appeal to me as Bhimpala. Sa, ga, ma, pa, ni, dha. I can't stop at the. Ga, ma, pa, ni, sa, ni, da, pa, ga, ma, ga. Ga, yes, I can stop. Ga, re, but I can't do that for re. Re is not elongated like that in Bhimpalas. So these are the rules of the rag. Once you master the rules, you are free. You are liberated and you express yourself. We say that this is a traditional art, but fortunately for us, that certain parts of the traditional reality are not really appealing. I don't want to talk about them, but in music, you can't deny that. This is just very rich and very beautiful language. And once you know that, then you are liberated. You can sing anything. If you want to sing any poem that you like, you can sing it. If you want to make a bandish on somebody, you can do that. That means it becomes your own language. It is not a language of 18th century, but it's my language even in the 21st century, as well as if somebody who wants to sing in 22nd century, he can also do it, because khayal is a flow of music, of this river of rules and freedom, and that river flows on in history. Just as it has come from 18th century to me, to us, it is going to go ahead. And it's my duty, it's our duty to see to it that it goes ahead. If I have something, I must share it with others. I must give it to others. I should not treat it as my property to be given only to my son or daughter. I have to give it to everyone because it is cultural heritage. It is a part of our rich culture. That richness has to go ahead. Only then people can also compose even in the classical genre. Otherwise, they feel, oh, आओ चलता है इनका, तान वान कौन करेगा इतना काम. We will sing the film song, they are very sweet. They relate to us even in today's life. But Khyal can relate to today's life also. It depends on how you treat it, how you treat the language of Khyal. This language has eightfold ways of voice culture. Meaned. What is meaned? Meaned is a curve. It goes like this. It flows like the river. Ghaseet. Ghaseet is something which comes into being by rubbing the voice. Like I sang Banare Balaya. Banate. I didn't do that. Banate. Now, what would I call it? I think it is Ghasi. So, main Ghasi, Gamak Andolan. What is Gamak? Ah, Gamak has been very beautifully described by Ustad Bade Ghulam Ali Khan Sahib. What did he say? He said that आप समुंदर के किनारे पे चल रहे हो, हर बार आपके पाँव अंदर जाएंगे रेती में, वहां से उठा के आपको दूसरा पाँव रखना पड़ेगा। ये पाँव रखते रखते आप चलेंगे, तो वो गमक है। That means the voice has to be deep at every point. So this is Gamak. Being Dasit Gamak Andolan. Andolan is of two types. One type I showed in Keh Sakhi. Keh Sakhi Kaise Kah. This is Andolan. But there is another Andolan which is more, people are more familiar with. I will sing this Bandish and Miyake Malhar, in which Miyake Malhar has so many Andolans. Bhim Palas has Andolan, Malkaus has Andolan, Darbari Kannada has Andolans. So this type of Andolan comes in a few ragas, not all. But let me share with you the fantastic popular Bandish Karim Naam Tero. Karim Naam Tero Tu Sahib Sattar. Karim Naam. This is one type of Andolan. So this Andolan is swing, and sometimes your emotions are swinging. Sometimes you see the clouds full of water, the dark clouds full of water. They are like that. कभी भी गिर जाएंगे, कभी भी पानी बरसेगा, इस तरह के मेघ रहते हैं. That is Andolan, and that is beautifully explained, explored, and used in Miyake Malhar. In many other ragas, it is like the swinging mind, the kind of movement of emotions and subtle uh, parts of shades of emotions in the mind that can be expressed in the आंदोलन. खटका पटक झमझमा, ये सबको मालूम है, मैं जानती हूँ कि खटके पर पूरी संगीत की दुनिया चलती है. आ, 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 ये झमझमा है. झमझमा मतलब तान को, मैंने जहाँ तक समझा है, पता नहीं झमझमा का मतलब काफ़ी लोग कुछ अलग अलग बताते हैं. मुझे लगा, जो मैंने गुरुजी से सुना और मुझे जो महसूस हुआ, वो झमझमा इज दैट तान विच appears like zhala in the instrumental music. This could be jhamjhama. I'm open to correction. If this is not right, I would like to know what is jhamjhama. But then there is kampan. Kampan is not the inability of the voice to stay steady. It's not that. It's a it's a use of a certain tremor in the emotion which is used as kampan in the bandish. Let me share with you a beautiful bandish in Rag Bageshri. Very famous bandish. I can do the kampan on na also. Pilwada. ज्ञान पूछे You can't do kampan all over. But I still remember one हिंदी फिल्म सॉन्ग, अभी न जाओ छोड़कर. उसमें बहुत सुंदर कंपन आया है. तो हमारे म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर्स इतने इंटेलिजेंट और इतनी उनकी प्रतिभा ज़बरदस्त है कि उनको कहाँ क्या यूज़ करना बहुत अच्छी तरह समझ में आता है. तो अभी न जाओ छोड़कर में बहुत सुंदर कंपन आया है. मैं अभी नहीं गाऊंगी क्योंकि वो it's not my area to sing अभी न जाओ छोड़कर. I would sing it जाने ना दे only. That's my area. Now, these are the eightfold ways of voice culture. Then there is another thing called murki. Now, I have not understood Murki completely, but it appears very attractive. And it is something like, you may laugh at me, but it is like the uh, curly hair. It's something like that. The Pamapa, it's like that. It's the hair which twists and turns. It is like the Murki. पिया ना उठे कमात कौनगत भी now, to think more about Murki, I have heard magnificent Murkis in Krishna Rao Panditji's music. He is my Guru's Guruji. And we still like his music is fantastic. I think that kind of uh, power and that kind of control over the voice, and he can he's sitting here on the ground, he can easily touch the sky and come back and again go ahead with his music, sitting steadily on the ground. That was the control he had. And I'm sure there are many singers in the old days mainly who have that control, and they really have mastered the voice culture so well. In the voice culture, you have the lower octave, you have the middle octave, and then you have the upper octave. Now, what do they suggest to you? I personally feel that the middle octave is something that you deal with in your ordinary life. The common life, you don't shout or you don't go on whispering. But when you whisper, you want to say something very private, very delicate, very sensitive. That is something which you can speak when you whisper. Now, is this Kauna Gata Bhai? Kauna Gata Bhai if I have to go up, I have to show my intensity of emotion. How do I show? But that becomes sometimes too much. So many layers of your mind, many layers of emotions you can touch. The whispering part of the sensitive, subtle, delicate part of the emotion. The common, ordinary, which you can easily speak and go ahead with people, that is the middle octave. And more intensity is the upper octave, maybe. ऊपर का सा जब लग जाता है तो बस नीचे से ऊपर तक पूरा इमोशन पूरा बाहर आ जाता है. That is the beauty also, and that is very effective at the same time. But the beauty lies in the middle and the lower up to the pancham, and the beauty also lies in taking all the three octaves as your canvas. I often use the word canvas because to me, music is like painting. I would like to conclude this program, which, according to me, Khyal is one of the most eclectic forms which has interrelations between various arts. There is the design, there is the narrative, and there is also the subtle nuances and poetry. Now, there was a great artist called Nasreen Mohammadi who was a very close friend of mine. Now, Nasreen died in 1990, and just 1 month before that she had an exhibition, and I knew she was not doing well, but I had been there for the exhibition, and after I returned I wrote a poem on her works. Let me read the poem and then I will sing the bandish a little bit. The poem is कहूँ कहूँ कुछ कह तो लूँ होठों के पीछे छिपा सा जरा सी हलचल हल्का सा बदल अंदर ऐसा कल्लोल बाहर एक उमंग तरंग कहूँ कहूँ कुछ कह तो लूँ कैसे कहूँ कितना कहूँ ना भी कहूँ हाँ हूँ अब भी हूँ हंसती रहूँ कहूँ कहूँ अब कह भी लूँ कहूँ कहूँ अब कह भी डालूँ रहूँ ना रहूँ हाँ ना यहाँ कहाँ तन्हा विरहा सहा ना सहा अथक सहा रहा हो रहा रंग बिरंगा नीर बहाया तन्हा ही रहा तन्हा चाहा कहूँ ना सहूँ अब ना सहूँ. This is a poem which I wrote after seeing her works, and this is a bandish which I composed on that. And I'm going to conclude my presentation with this bandish because I feel that there is the painting, there is the work of the artist, there is a poem, and there is a bandish based on that. This is set in Darbari Kannada. It is set in Ektal. कहूँ ना सहूँ छिपा छिपा रहना अथक सहना रहना हंसती रहूँ ना सहूँ कहूँ ना Thank you, Ashok ji. Thanks a lot.
Thanks lots. So, friends, we come to the end of the sixth Kumar Gandhar Memorial Lecture, delivered this time by Neela Bhagwat. She took us through the aesthetics of the Khayal Gaiki, especially as embodied and articulated in the Gwalior Gharana. I am sure you have enjoyed it and you have sort of felt the nuances and subtleties involved in Khayal Gaiki. Thank you, Neela ji, very much. And thank you all for watching and listening to this. We thank you on behalf of the Raza Foundation and the India Habitat Center. Thank you.
Thank you so much.